today's session.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, Zoom. We are going to record today's presentation. If you're uncomfortable with being on camera, please feel free to turn off your camera. That is up to you. And my name is Lisa. I am the program coordinator for the Capital Region SBDC. We focus on these major capital region, obviously the city of Richmond, Henrico, Hanover, Ashland, Powhatan, Goochland, and Chesterfield counties. We are funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the US SBA, our nationwide network, our state network, and our local funding partners. And through all of these partnerships, we're able to provide things like today's webinar and training. So if you are within any of those counties or the city of Richmond and you're interested in advising and you're not registered already, please feel free to link up with me and we are happy to connect you to an advisor. If you are not within our region and you would still like advising, please feel free to shoot me an email anyways. I'll drop it in the chat and I'll make sure you get to the right office. Also, one other thing, if you can, I've given everybody permission to rename themselves. If your name is showing up in the chat box, in the participant box, without your full name, please go ahead and rename yourself with your full name. That just helps me with housekeeping when I go back and take the attendance for today. A lot of times it shows up as just somebody's iPhone and I can't find your name and you don't get credit for attending this course. So if you can, please just do that. Or if you're not able to, just drop your name in the chat and I can change it for you. All right, so Jamie, I will kick this over to you. And we will get started.
Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here. Welcome to QuickBooks 101. Our goal today is to get you all familiar enough with QuickBooks that you can start using it immediately to organize your business finances. Our webinar today is designed to be highly hands-on and interactive. So like I had mentioned just before, if you were here, my recommendation is that you split your screen. So have half of the screen be your Zoom tab and the other half either be your QuickBooks Online page or the test drive. Even if you do have a QuickBooks Online account already, you may actually prefer to use that test drive for this course so you can really experiment and mess things up so that you can identify and decide what works best for your business. Again, this is meant to be a primer in QuickBooks. We won't get through all of the different capabilities that QuickBooks Online has to offer today. But if you'd like to dive deeper into QuickBooks, we have an advanced program that's titled Advanced Features within QuickBooks Online. That should be out in the next few months. And also, just like Lisa shared, we have free advising and coaching if you'd like to dig into a specific aspect of QuickBooks Online for your business. So keep that in mind as we move through today. So before we dive into actual use, I wanted to make you aware of the 4 subscription levels that you'd likely be choosing from. Honestly, Simple Start has most everything a typical startup business needs. And I would really start there unless you need one of the bolded following that you can see in Essentials, Plus, and Advanced. It's super easy to upgrade and downgrade. So I highly recommend auditing your use throughout the months. As you can see with Advanced, right, QuickBooks can become a pretty high monthly expense. So looking at that list, Simple Start, it can really do all of the basics. Some reasons you might want to upgrade to Essentials would be to have more than one login for your account, wanting to track bills you receive and pay throughout the interface, or wanting to track time. Plus, the Plus users, it ups your users to 5. You can do inventory and then project profitability. So if you're interested in tracking what expenses are for which projects or classes or locations, you would need that Plus subscription. And then finally, Advanced does just that, right? A lot of the advanced features such as workflows, batch invoices, and expenses, way more of the sophisticated reporting and analytics. Again, I recommend starting with Simple Start and then upgrading as needed. Capital Region Small Business Development Center always has some type of promo for QuickBooks. So if you don't have it yet, definitely reach out to Central Capital Region to get that promo. Right now, you get the first month free, and then you get 30% off for the next 12 months. So a great savings right there. All right, so hopefully everyone has either their QuickBooks Online app or that test drive. We're gonna start, when you first log in, it should look like this. This is your landing page. And really you actually have two landing pages. You have one that says get things done, which is where you are right now. And then you have a business overview, okay? So once you, this is where all of your shortcuts for your common tasks are. If you look to the left, this black column, here's where all of your functions are, and they're categorized by the type of task. So looking, right, capital, commerce, these are things you probably won't be using often or at all, but things like banking, sales, and expenses, those are some tabs that you want to be able to get to quickly. The plus new button at the top, this is for adding any new information to your QuickBooks account. So if you're adding invoices, sales, deposits, bills, you have a plethora of different things you can add to your QuickBooks data from there. The final place you want to be familiar with is in the upper right-hand corner, that gear icon. That is where all of your QuickBooks settings are. So there may be times when you need to manage your users or make adjustments to default settings. This is where you're going to go for that. Your second landing page looks like this. And honestly, I think this is the better landing page, right? You can see basically a quick snapshot of your company. You can see what you've been spending funds on, what invoices are unpaid, how your bank accounts are looking, what your sales have been. And this is all for the last 30 days. This gives you that 30-second snapshot of your financial health of your business. And I think it's super convenient to start here before going any deeper into QuickBooks. I just got I think I just saw, sorry, a chat. Someone said they're lost already. Can I help you? I'm still trying to split my screen and cannot see what you're showing.
I think it would be helpful if you just talk through how to split your screen so then everybody could get the most out of it.
Oh, sure. Okay. So if you all should be able to see all of my tabs up here, right? What you'll do is you just want to drag one of your tabs away from the other tabs. Sorry, I'm trying to look on my iPhone to make sure this is working too. Oops. And then you can resize it to make it the correct size. And I'm going to do the same thing with my Zoom screen. Oops. Like this. All right, there's some fancy functions that you can press, but that's probably the simplest way. Does that make sense? All right. So,
and how can you tell if you're logged into your own database that you're on the test server? Should we see what Craig's design?
Oh, so if you want to use the test drive, you won't also log into your QuickBooks. So this test drive that I put into the chat box, I can put it in again right now. This is a completely fictional account that looks like, oops, that's my real one.
Okay, so we need to log out of our own. If we have signed in, log out. Okay, yep. When I log.
Yep. So or you can totally do it in your own. If you want to do all of this for your real data, you can totally follow along with your own, or you can use Craig's design and landscape services to really just experiment and not make any changes to your account that might be something you actually don't want. Sound good?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So here's your first task. Like I said, we're going to try to make this as hands-on as possible. So regardless if you're on your test drive or your own QuickBooks account, I want you to explore your dashboard. All right. For a little direction, maybe see if you can answer these questions. Who owes the most via invoices to you? How much did you earn in September? How profitable were you in September? Right? If your QuickBooks account is not set up yet, then it might be a better idea to get back on that test drive, right? So you can look at real data. All right, I'm gonna put the timer on for 4 minutes. Go ahead and really just dig into your account. About 2 more minutes. So if you've only looked at the Get Things Done dashboard, maybe check out the Business Overview one. Like I said, Business Overview is my personal preference, but that does not mean it needs to be your personal preference. All right, I know 4 minutes is really quick, but hopefully you're a little bit more familiar with your dashboard. Are there any questions for the good of the group surrounding using your dashboard?
So I have a quick question. You say, how much did you earn in September and how profitable were you in September? I don't know the difference between those two.
Sure. So great question. So what you earned, right? That is the income that you are bringing in every month.
So
So
what
that's
was
the
your
amount of,
revenue?
exactly. Yep.
Okay.
And then when you talk about profit, you're going to take your income minus your expenses.
Got it.
So how much are you left with after?
Thank you.
After you spend all that money for your expenses? Great question.
Can you give us the answer for Craig Design so we can just make sure we all are seeing what you're seeing?
Oh my gosh. That is a great question. I should have done that. I honestly just came up with a couple of questions to guide you. But if you look right here, right? Here is your profit and loss. So here is your net profit for the last month for Craig's Design. So 1,700. You can see the income here and the expenses.
So that says the last 30 days. And do we not want to see September?
Yes. So, well, yes, you do want to see September. I think that QuickBooks updates this account constantly. So what I see here on my screenshot is not what you probably see on yours.
No.
But maybe that's good feedback for me to make sure I get those screenshots like literally the day of the next presentation. How much did you earn in September, right? That's your income again. And then your invoices, who owes you the most via invoices, right? If you click on invoicing where it says overdue, you should be able to see the people that owe Craig funds. So great question.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm not seeing any
ahead.
profit and loss.
None of mine.
Like zero.
Footing with what you're saying either.
Are you logged into your own QuickBooks account?
No.
You're in the test drive?
Yes.
Lisa, this is Susan. On the test drive, I'm seeing, well, on that profit and loss, on that business overview screen, if you change the profit, beside the words profit and loss, there's a place where on yours it says this year that you've got showing right now, but you can drop down and put last month and that'll show you September. What I saw was that our sales were zero.
Yes.
Our expenses were $34, and so negative 34 is what we had.
Yes. And you know what this is telling me? This is telling me that QuickBooks is dropping the ball on updating it. Because if you go to this, maybe this year would be a better spot for us all to look at, because you can see all of these different data, right? Sorry about that. Again, this is my first time doing this, so this is good to know. All right. Well, let's get back into it. So here's your dashboard. Now we're going to move to the chart of accounts. In order to get to this, you'll click on accounting in your black column and then chart of accounts. So think of your chart of accounts. You can see right here, accounting and then chart of accounts. Think of your chart of accounts as a filing cabinet, okay? So within your filing cabinet, you have all of these different folders for the different areas of your business. The 5 main categories or folders for small business accounting are income, expenses, assets, liabilities, and equity. So when you create a QuickBooks Online account, they actually pre-create a chart of accounts for you based on the answers that you give them about your business and industry. So unfortunately though, almost always, they create way too many categories for your business. You really want your chart of accounts to serve as a snapshot of your business. So think about it, right? Like, would you want a filing cabinet that was filled with a bunch of empty folders? Probably not, right? That doesn't really serve much of a purpose. So therefore, you'll probably see in your chart of accounts that there's several home office accounts. But if you don't work from home, we don't need any of those. Same with vehicle accounts. That's another common one that you'll see within your chart of accounts. And if you're not traveling for your business, you don't need that, right? It's just cluttering things up. So instead, what we want to do is we want to make all of the accounts that we won't be using inactive. This makes them no longer an option when you're categorizing your transactions, which is really the whole purpose of QuickBooks, right? Is to give everything a home. So I want to note, right? You can always reactivate accounts too. So if you don't have a home office right now, but you're considering having one in a few months or a few years, definitely inactivate it for now, knowing you can reactivate it in the future. So to make accounts inactive, you would click on that down arrow all the way to the right of the screen where it says View Register and click Make Inactive. Something else you can do is you can change the name of an account. So for example, an area of accounts that I really don't like in QuickBooks is their advertising and marketing accounts. I find that they don't really align with how my clients are currently marketing. They're really dated. And so instead of inactivating the ones that don't work well, like website ads and promotional listings, I changed their titles to things like branding and design or social media, things that my clients are actually using to advertise and market. Okay, so our next task is to customize your chart of accounts. All right, I'm going to preface this task with this. All right, while I'm only giving you 4 minutes right now, this process really should be done with a lot of patience and thought, maybe including your other team members and your business members in this process. When you create a really good chart of accounts, you're able to help your business make way more sophisticated business decisions, and it definitely pays back in multiples in the future. So what I'd like you to do right now is go to your chart of accounts and go through all of the options and make the ones that don't make sense to you inactive, things that you clearly don't need. If you're able to finish that, do a second run through and maybe modify some titles to be more specific to your business or industry. All right, so we'll do
Hey,
another. Yes.
Sorry, real quick. There were a couple of questions about how to do some of those things. How do you remove an account? I have accounts listed that should not be, and I'm not sure how they got there.
Yes, so let me go back. Let's go to the test drive, accounting, chart of accounts. All right, so say that I don't have a truck. Well, that's what man does, but say I don't have, I'm no longer selling or building decks and patios. So you would come over to this down arrow, click, and then make inactive. And then no longer is this within my landscaping services. So you'll want to reduce all of the ones that don't make sense for your business.
There was one other question also. When you change the name of the category, like ads and marketing, does it allow me to change how it gets represented on a Schedule C?
Ooh, that's a great question. So when you are doing your taxes, right, you would still use that data for, you would still use your numbers in QuickBooks and transfer it over to that Schedule C. So especially with the sub accounts, right? Usually that isn't on your Schedule C. It's just the overhead, the parent account of advertising and marketing. So definitely, I probably wouldn't change advertising and marketing, right? We want to keep that here. And then that detail type is still advertising. But I'm mainly talking about these sub accounts. So you can see the accounts that are below the parent accounts. Great question. Yeah, probably wouldn't change too many of the major accounts. Does that make sense? So like keeping dues and subscriptions, you can change it to like memberships and subscriptions, small changes like that. But your tax accountant or tax preparer, they're still going to be putting that in the correct space. The verbiage is okay to change slightly.
There are a few other questions in the chat. We're going to try to stay onto the task, but if you want to drop any questions in there, we will answer. Jamie, you like it towards the end of the task, correct?
Sure, yes. So yeah, go ahead and experiment some more and see if you can problem solve on your own, and then we can totally answer some questions after everyone has experimented a bit. And I'm reviewing the questions right now too. Carl, I see your comment. For that, that's a great question. When you do make purchases and on your personal account, we do want to include that within your QuickBooks Online data. So you would do a journal entry for that. And that's something that we'll be talking about in the QuickBooks Online advanced course, but also something that we can get on a quick call, Carl, and I can show you. It's relatively easy. Paula, that's a great question. So actually, so Paula asks, if you delete the name of a category, does it delete everything you have recorded under that category? So it likely will not, it should not let you delete a category if you have funds under it. If it does, it will actually move everything to uncategorized assets, or expenses. And so that is that's a big hesitation and a big, problem and mess. So if you do have, if you like, for example, if you were putting all of your electricity expenses under electricity, and then you decided you wanted just utilities, you want to move all those expenses to the parent accounts. Otherwise, you'll just have to do a couple of extra steps of going to that uncategorized expense and then putting them in their new home. Does that make sense, Paula?
Before you move on, could you show how you would, in that case, you did it by accident, how would you make it back to being active? I didn't see that on the screen anywhere. I've been looking.
Sure. Let me go back to my test drive. So right now, QuickBooks is being friendly and they're only showing you your active accounts. So this is everything that you're saying that you actually need, which again is a ton. If you click on this gear arrow, gear symbol and say include inactive, now your chart of accounts has everything, even the things that won't pop up. And if I go down, you can see here's my deck and patios that I deleted, and I can click make active again.
Perfect. Everywhere but there. Thank you.
Yep, of course. All right. My timer was restarted. So How are we all feeling? Would you like a couple more minutes in your chart of accounts? If you could just put a yes or a no in the chat box, that would be helpful for me.
Well, I think I've had enough time to
No.
practice, the concept, and then like to
Awesome.
go
All right.
through a fine tooth. But what I was going to ask is there a place on QuickBooks to learn more about what these things mean? Like some of these words, I'm like, what are they saying?
Yeah.
What does this category mean?
Believe me, and you know what? I was a teacher, and I try to be as student friendly as possible. But I feel you. I feel like it's so hard sometimes to learn this vocabulary. But yes, QuickBooks is phenomenal with the resources that they have available for free. If you literally Google QuickBooks Online chart of accounts, I guarantee you there are probably 10 different articles written by QuickBooks members or QuickBooks, like people who work at QuickBooks, explaining everything step by step. So if you're like, you know what, Jamie gave me a little bit of this chart of accounts, but I want to dig way deeper, definitely just do some Googling and you'll find like the QuickBooks pages. All right, we're going to keep rolling. So once you have your skeleton of your business looking good, now you need to add your actual data. So accounting software has come a long way, and now all of your transactions are automatically uploaded to QuickBooks Online accounts. All you have to do is connect your bank feeds. So in order to do this, you're going to go to banking and then link account. And a couple of different prompts will pop up asking you what your bank's name is. It will ask you your account information. And then it will automatically bring your banks to QuickBooks. Your page would look something like this. It will ask you, and I definitely, this will save you tons and tons of time. It will ask you if you want to start uploading transactions right from today, from this month, or this year. And while it seems like picking today would be the best bet, definitely pick this year, right? Whatever your fiscal year is what you want to upload. Otherwise, you'll be having to add a lot of data manually to your account. So once you go through those few prompts, your page should look like this. At the top, you have your bank and your credit card accounts, along with the feeds below. The feeds below, right, you can see books by Bessie, a rental. These are the transactions that you're going to need to categorize on a monthly basis in order to reconcile your accounts. So what I mean by categorize, right, if you click on any transaction line, you'll see this pop up. You have a vendor and category tab, a customer tab, and a category tab. You want to fill out both of these every time and being consistent. So this is how you're forming all of your financial data for your company. And this is what's going to help you to drive your decision making. One tool that's really helpful that I use as a bookkeeper, as my clients use frequently, is the categorization history button that you can see at the bottom. This will show you what you've categorized something as in the past. If you have a new vendor, you'll have to add that. So you can just type in whatever the business name is and then click add. And then same with category. So next task, I want you to go and get familiar with categorizing. So this is likely to be what you spend most of your time doing month to month. That's your first step. Once they're connected, see if you can start categorizing your transactions. You want that payee and the categorization category for each transaction. Something that you might run into, you may find that you need to go back to your chart of accounts to add a category. You can also add them right from the categorizing screen by typing in what you'd like it to be and then clicking add. But I do find that this is a bit tricky at first because you need to decide where specifically you'd like something within your chart of accounts. Should it be a parent account, a sub account? That's a decision that's sometimes hard to tell without seeing your chart of accounts holistically. So I think I was going to add more, but I'm not going to. So go ahead and see if you can categorize some of your transactions.
Hey, Jamie,
Yes.
just a quick question while they're working on their task 3. Craig asked if he wants to start fresh with QuickBooks in January. Is there a way to archive or remove all of the previous information?
Yes, I just saw that too. Craig, so best practice is actually to close your QuickBooks Online account at the end of every year anyways, so that you do have that fresh start. So to do that, actually, if you click on the gear icon all the way in the upper right-hand corner, within your accounts and settings, you should have an option to close your books. And so that's where you would want to go to give yourself that fresh start for next year. But one hesitation would be just make sure that you have everything completely organized and finished for the 2022 year, because you just don't want to have things overflowing after you do close for the 2022 year. You're welcome. Oh, James, that's a good question. I think that would be a question for if you're working with an accountant or CPA, based on your unique company. Sometimes if you have a parent company and you have just different revenue streams, then you could definitely do it one account. But I would probably consult with a CPA before making that decision based on your unique situation. Yes, sorry, I know that's not a real answer for you. One thing I did want to say about categorizing transactions is if you don't yet have a good receipt management system for yourself, what QuickBooks Online also allows is for you to add an attachment to each of these transactions. So what I can do is when I go to Books by Bessie, I can, QuickBooks actually has an app for this too, where I can scan my receipt, upload it to QuickBooks, and have everything in one place. And so especially if unfortunately you somehow get audited, right, you have everything nice and clean in one spot rather than having a real file folder filled with receipts at your house and this online. Keeping everything nice and clean and neat is a great way to make sure that all of your T's are crossed. So just something to consider. Okay. So one of the tools within the banking feed is actually called Rules. And this is a huge time saver for you if you're going to have a lot of transactions. So if you always pay the same company for electricity or rent or your subscriptions, you can create a rule for that transaction, which will pre-fill out all of the information needed to categorize the transaction. And then all you're going to have to do is click Add on the categorization screen. So for example, QuickBooks, right? If you are seeing your transaction for your expense for QuickBooks monthly, you can categorize it as QuickBooks fees or dues and subscriptions or software, whatever you're choosing to put that QuickBooks under. And then you no longer have to go take the time to type in those two different answers. You will see, if everyone looks at the bottom of this screen, do you see where it says auto add with the green? It says that it's on right now. That's a caution for you. I always recommend unselecting this option. This option automatically categorizes your transactions and adds them to the Categorize tab. So that means that you'll never see this transaction in QuickBooks unless you go out looking for it. The reason I discourage this is because these transactions, they become out of sight, out of mind. You could be double billed and not catch it. You could be paying for a subscription that you're no longer using and forget to cancel it because you don't see it. You could be spending funds at a familiar vendor, but on a different area of your business. Here's an example. So I highly discourage using auto add for Amazon. I'm sure I know I'm guilty of using Amazon for a lot, and most times I'm buying office supplies. But what about the times that I'm purchasing for cost of goods sold or furniture or educational materials? If you have Amazon on auto add, you're likely going to blanket categorize all of those things as office supplies. And this could cause you to miss out on additional business deductions or even assets that you have. All right. So, and one other thing, another reason to turn that off is you want to make sure that your rules actually work, that they're actually saying what you want them to say. So rules surrounding bank transfers and bill payments can sometimes get a little bit tricky. So if you're adamant about using auto add, just try it out a couple of months without it, and then go ahead and turn it on to save you that time. So go ahead and create a couple of rules for your business. Think about what expenses do you have every month. Utilities and subscriptions are great ones to create rules for. And then also think about companies that you buy the same thing from frequently. You maybe always buy maintenance things from Lowe's, or it's always meals with clients for your coffee shop expenses. So go ahead and see, maybe add 2-3 different rules to your QuickBooks account.
Can you show us how to do that? Like click the actual buttons?
Yes, sorry. So if we go back, you'll click on banking, and then you'll see the tab right in the middle that says rules. And then a rule over here. And then you have all of your different filters. And a great button to try is the test rule to see how it works. No, there is no extra cost to use the scanning receipts feature for QuickBooks. Totally free. And Connie, yes, their QuickBooks is pretty friendly in terms of transferring from desktop to online. There are several online videos to show you how to do that. But if you are working with a bookkeeper or a CPA, maybe having them just to handhold a little bit might be worthwhile. But because it's QuickBooks to QuickBooks, usually it's pretty seamless. You're welcome. Okay, any questions surrounding rules for the good of the group? Again, if you set these up, it can really minimize your time that you're on QuickBooks every month.
When you purchase a QuickBooks account, will some of the features look different? Because I was never able to find that option to create rules.
Which subscription level are you on?
I don't know, probably the first.
Okay, you should be able to. It is available. I think this one is on Simple Start 2. You don't, does your banking tab look like this?
Let me just confirm.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Huh.
I've got on the
Okay.
left-hand side, I have a, like when I click on banking, it goes to QuickBooks Checking, Capital, and PPP Center.
Does it say Intuit QuickBooks on top, or does it say QuickBooks Self-Employed?
On top of where?
On the top of your black column tab.
Intuit QuickBooks.
Huh. Maybe that's something that we can problem solve later.
No
we
problem.
can connect?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. All right. All right.
Just real quick.
Any
I
other
had that
questions?
problem. Well, just real quick, I had that same problem, and it was because I was signed in as my business view instead of accountant view.
Oh, thank you. So let me go back over here. If you are in your QuickBooks account, if you click on your, could you tell us how you got to the other view? It's usually over here, right? Oh, there we go. Yep. So if you click on your gear, and at the bottom it says switch to this one says switch to business view. Yours should say switch to accountant view. And that should fix that problem.
Got it now. That works.
Thank you all. Takes a village, right, to learn your accounting. All right. The last new thing that we're going to learn today is your reporting capabilities. And really, the number of reports that are within QuickBooks Online is exhausting. It's overwhelming. There are way too many reports. Even as a bookkeeper, I don't use the majority of these. But typically, your profit and loss sheet, your balance sheet, and your income statement will give you a really good read on your business's financial health. I'm not discouraging you from looking through all of these reports in hopes of finding that perfect fit for what you're looking for, but know that these three should be able to get you where you need to go. So let's just review quickly the top three reports, and then I'll give you some time to go look at them. So your profit and loss, this is the current health of your business. Typically, you'd run a profit and loss for the previous month to see how profitable you were. It's organized in a way where you can see all of your income and expenses, and it concludes with your net profit or loss. You can run it you could run it for last week, you could run it for the year to date. You can really customize a lot based on in terms of your time frame. I really love this one over here. You can see profit and loss by month. I run that one the most frequently so that I can see how my clients and myself are doing at various times of the year and why the profit is lower or higher than a typical month. Another note on profit and loss, this report is super helpful to run monthly as it's helping you to calculate the amount of taxes we should be putting aside each month. So keep that in mind, that's a great tool if you do nothing else, just to get that net profit so that you're putting that 25-30% aside for when tax season comes. The next major report is called the balance sheet. And your balance sheet is for the long-term health of your business. So it's kind of like a time capsule, right? It has everything that's occurred since the creation. You'll see all of your assets and your liabilities, your owner's equity, which is the amount of money that you've taken out to pay yourself, or your personal money that you've contributed to your company. Now, I think you need to analyze your balance sheet every month, but you should be familiar with how you're performing. As if we're unable to pay towards our liabilities monthly, we've got a little bit of a problem, right? And finally, your cash flow statement. So this is all the way at the bottom of this screen. It says statement of cash flows. And a lot of business owners like that one the most because it is measuring how well your company is generating cash to both pay its debts and its monthly expenses. So think of it kind of like a merged profit and loss and balance sheet. It determines how much cash is available for your company to pay its expenses and pay down its debt. So especially if you're forming your business through a loan, this report can help you to really predict success long term. So your last task of the day, go ahead and take the next 4 minutes to explore the different reports that are available through QuickBooks. Notice that you can customize each report in so many different ways. Maybe try running a profit and loss for last month and then for a year to date. How are you doing? Why are you more profitable this month than last month? Why or why not? Okay. Also, I mentioned in the previous slide, I love that profit and loss by month report. Run that one and see if anything stands out to you. And remember, to get to that, you go to reports on that black tab, and then you have that plethora of reports. So click right into whatever ones you want to check out and see what you find. So check that out too. Thanks, Susan. Again, another 2 minutes. So if you're deeply analyzing one report, maybe switch over to a different one. Again, see if you can change your filters at the top. And again, really think about who your business is. What would be beneficial for you? What numbers would it be beneficial for you to know about yours? Okay. Any questions or notices regarding reporting? Right. Let's get to the last little part. So I hope that your brains aren't too fried with all of this accounting jargon and tasks, because what you've really done is you've learned most everything you need in order to do your monthly tasks. Okay, so I highly recommend getting a monthly workflow together for your bookkeeping. Almost all of my clients that I have resorted to me after they were unable to get a routine going to check this to-do list item off monthly. And really, this is something you should be able to get done in like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours within the month. So a great system for making sure that you never miss a month or pushing your bookkeeping off too far is to do this when your bank statements come in every month. You actually need your bank statements to kind of check this task off. So let's go through this process. The first thing you want to make sure is that all of your transactions for the month are categorized. Now, we've already done this, right? It's found in the categorized. They should all now be found in this categorized tab. You'll know that everything is looking right if your bank balance and your QuickBooks balance are the same. So if we look at Craig's landscaping service, right, we know that he's not ready to reconcile and do his monthly tasks because he still has 25 transactions that he hasn't categorized. There are 2 situations where you could still be fine and have unbalanced numbers. So if you have pending transactions within your bank that haven't moved to QuickBooks yet, those numbers will not be the same, right? So keep that in mind. The other option or other reason that you might not have balanced numbers would be if you're invoicing through QuickBooks and someone has paid you via QuickBooks, but it hasn't reached your bank yet. All right, so if you see unbalanced numbers, check those things out, those 2 causes out. And if that's not it, then we might have a bigger problem. So once you have balanced numbers, you have nothing left to categorize. We want to make sure that everything is accounted for on both your bank statement and your QuickBooks feed. So again, accounting has come a long way and you no longer need to go line by line to make sure it's there. Instead, if you look at this second photo over here, you're going to go to accounting, and then this is where your chart of accounts is also, but this time you're going to go to reconcile. And here, you'll choose your bank account, you'll add the ending balance that's on your bank statement, and then the ending date for that bank cycle. You'll click Start Reconciling, and then this bottom tab will pop up. All right, again, because QuickBooks hasn't clearly kept up with their work, right? What you will see for your own is you'll see all of your transactions here that will be connected or matched up with your bank ones. And what we should see up here is a button that says Finish Now. It should say $0 difference, Finish Now, and that means that you're good. If you have one like who is this again? What the sample company is Craig. This means that you're missing or you've added an extra transaction somehow. And this will be your cue that you need to go through your bank statement and check to make sure all of your transactions are aligned. This is a task, the reconciliation task, that a lot of business owners either don't know about or fail to do. So if you haven't yet done this for 2022, my recommendation is to go month by month. So start back in January. That way, if you do have some accounts that don't match, you only need to go through that one bank statement and not your entire year's worth. All right, once you have matched up and it says finish now, then you're basically all set. You want to go and look at your reports if that's something you're including in your monthly tasks. But other than that, you can check that off your to-do list, and you can consider your bookkeeping up to date. All right. So, like I had mentioned, we really just scratched the surface of what QuickBooks Online can accomplish in regards to your bookkeeping needs. There are so many other functionalities that if you want to invest in QuickBooks being like your main platform, you can totally do that. As I mentioned at the start of this session, we're putting together a QuickBooks Advanced course to kind of go into the more sophisticated bookkeeping tasks. And I was going to do a couple more, but I think that we'll stop there for today and go into any questions and answers. Also, just before we get into that, remember again that Capital Region Small Business Development Center has resources available to really work one-on-one advising and coaching for QuickBooks. So if you're feeling a little confused still after all of this today, definitely set up a meeting so that you can feel really good going into tax season with your QuickBooks account.
Yes, thank you so much, Jamie. And with that being said too, if you are within the capital region, I know we've got people kind of on this call from all over the state of Virginia. The SBDC is a statewide network. So even if you don't fall within our office locality, I am happy to connect you with the right office, and we can always make sure you get the QuickBooks help that you need. But also, if you're within our region, I can definitely get you set up with Jamie for a one-on-one session. Jamie, I don't know if you're seeing the chat, but there was a quick question. I've categorized the transactions that come through the bank statement. How do I add vendors?
Great. So if you are, great question. So if you're here, say a rental, right? We don't have a vendor or customer yet. So you literally just need to type A1 rental and click add. You can change this to a vendor and then click save. And then this is rental and click add. And now that's all set. And if I go to expenses, vendors, I can also find them here now. All right. And again, best practice is to include this extra information when it comes time, again, for tax season. If you are using vendors that are not corporations and you spend more than $600 with them throughout the year, you are required to send them a 1099. So having this information ahead of time will save you a lot of time come January when you do have that deadline. Does that answer your question?
You can just throw in the chat if it didn't. Well, you can definitely go in more depth. Tyler also asked, can we take a look at how to match Intuit deposit payments?
Sure. So Tyler, are you talking about when you're in your banking tab and you're like this right here? Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, I've had issues with those getting duplicated and it's thrown off all my books. And I'm not sure if I'm doing it wrong or if there's a bigger issue inside QuickBooks somewhere.
Yes. So are you invoicing customers?
Yes.
Is that why? Okay. So if you're invoicing customers, and I'll just do this fairly quickly, right? You would go to plus new invoice. and you can create a new invoice for that customer. If I'm here, sorry, sales invoicing. Here are all of the invoices that Craig has that are overdue, right? So if you do it directly in your banking tab, which is what I recommend, all you want to do is click match. So let's see, this one is 817 for 868. So if I click match, it should go now to my invoices saying that it's been paid. Let's see.
Is there a way to mess that? I have one that keeps repeating. I've actually erased the duplicates and it comes back. Is there a, have you ever heard of that, or am I just a unique case?
I have seen it before, but I think that maybe checking yours out and seeing exactly what's going on. Did you create a rule maybe around it or something like that? Or what is your process?
So it seems like the deposit, the Intuit payments, they kind of automatically get matched. So what I'm doing is I'm going back in and finding where they've been matched, and then I'll see where they're doubled for some reason. So then when I erase, like I have one, my biggest one, for some reason it keeps doubling that income. So none of my books will match up, and then it's thrown off my reconciliation and everything.
Yeah. Huh. That seems like something that needs to get, fixed up. I'd be happy to work with you on that. That seems like it's a unique problem for you. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't want to hog everybody's time, but I was wondering maybe I was doing something silly.
Yeah, as long as you're clicking match, it shouldn't duplicate. So that must be, you're not like clicking receive payment also, or creating the payment.
No, not with the Intuit deposits. I do, like with a check, I'll receive payment and then I'll deposit it, and then once it comes through my bank account, I match them.
Yeah.
But with direct payments, like credit card or ACH transfers, I don't do it. I don't do that. I try to go. It goes. Sometimes I never see them, and they just match automatically. And then this one's just like off the wall. There's a couple of them.
Huh.
So.
I'm wondering, so something that can sometimes happen is how you have your invoices set up. So your products and services within those, how you will say how you want it to be seen within your chart of accounts. I'm wondering if you have it in two different areas, which is causing that amount to duplicate. That might be something to look into. So look into your products and services. Well, okay. I would look in your products and services to see like whatever you're including within your invoice. Make sure that those products aren't double like tagged in two places. Does that make sense?
Yep, I'm looking at them now.
All right. So I see Ashley was asking about receipts. So for receipts, sorry. Definitely, I would, let's see, for receipts, oh gosh, you want to go to banking and then receipts. And you actually have 3 different ways to upload your receipts. So if you have them on your desktop, you could upload them from your computer. A lot of people like to just have a folder in Drive, you can add them from your folder in Drive, or you can set up an email that you would send directly to QuickBooks, and they would fill in here. A 4th option you have is, and the option I use, is I actually use the app, the QuickBooks app, which you literally can take a photo. I take it either on my computer or a physical receipt, and it also comes here. And when it's here, you'll have to review it and connect it to the correct transaction, and then it will come here. You can also, if you're on banking, you can add an attachment, and this will do the same thing. So really, the possibilities are endless on how to connect it to that transaction. How do I send an invoice that it shows a down payment. How can I send a receipt? Right here, sales invoices. You create new invoices here. And what I would do is you could just do a negative amount if they have already paid a down payment. How can I send a receipt for partial or whole payment of an invoice? Ninfa, I think I need to Google that one. I'm not quite sure about partial payments. Can I get back to you on that one?
Yes, that'll be fine. Thank you. I just have had clients ask for a receipt when they made a down payment. And the balance due is different from the invoice amount, and I've had trouble getting that to them. So one.
Yes, I have not run into that yet, but I'm sure that you can do it. And obviously you don't want to do separate invoices for each part of the entire payment, but that would be an easy workaround. Partial. Okay. Ooh, so Alex, that is a common thing to happen. Again, you want to make sure that you're either matching or transferring. So Alex brings up a good question that is that Alex a he or she, Alex? Sorry. That when you have two accounts here, right? You have your checking account. So you actually don't want, so we're going to pretend this is a credit card payment. You don't want to categorize this transaction. It's actually a transfer of money. So if you have this credit card and we're paying it off from this checking account, you're going to transfer it from my checking account to my credit card. And it's bringing that money over. And what they're saying is that, what he's saying is that he's doing it as a categorization here and then a categorization here, and they're not matching. So it's like two different things happening, and we want it to be one seamless problem. All right, anything else? So how do you edit a reconciliation? Another great question, Tyler. So when you are here, right, we're reconciling, and we noticed that on QuickBooks, we have forgotten to add an expense for a Lowe's expense for repairs and maintenance. What you'll do, so this says that we're unbalanced, you can literally just go to plus new and add that expense. Or if you forgot to add a check that you wrote, you could add that check. And as long as it's between the starting date and the ending date that you put here, it will automatically add it to that reconciliation to help you to get balanced. Is that what you mean, Tyler?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, yep, no problem. That's actually one of the easier aspects, or like more like friendly aspects of QuickBooks that is very helpful. You all asked so many good questions. All right. Yes, we will send you a copy of the recording. Anything else?
Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, please feel free to pop off mute or, raise your hand, and we can definitely get to those questions. It's a great time to utilize Jamie and all her expertise with QuickBooks.
And I hope this was helpful. I know that this is like we mentioned earlier, so much accounting jargon kind of is so overwhelming sometimes. But again, practice makes perfect. So just get in there and keep fiddling around, and you'll be feeling good before long.
Hi, Jamie. This is Ninfa again. I just have one more question regarding the credit card payments. So could you go back to that screen
Yes.
When you have the bank account pulled up and you have the transaction coming out of your bank account, do you have it as from the bank account to the credit card or from the credit card?
So you'll see it in both places. That's a great question. So you should see, I wish that they had an example here, right? I don't think there are any. These are all invoices. You will see on your bank account, your checking account, it will say that you spent $1,000 and it will say MasterCard, right? If it's this MasterCard account. And then if you click on your MasterCard account, it should say, it should probably have your bank name and the ending 4 digits of your bank account, and it will be a received from. So what we're doing then, right, we're matching them by recording it as a credit card payment, because what that's doing is it's actually making this number lower, right? Even though it seems like it would go higher because we're adding money to it. Because we want that MasterCard to be the lower balance. This is our liability or our debt. Does that answer your question?
A little bit. So you see how right now we're in the MasterCard or the credit card account,
Yes.
and it says record as transfer or record as credit card payment?
Yes.
Which of the two would it be?
Record as credit card payment. Okay. You could honestly, I believe it would still work as record as transfer, but this is the cleanest. This is definitely going to make it work for both sides. When you're doing checking to savings or one checking account to another checking account, that's when you want to do record as transfer.
Okay, and once you record as credit card payment on your credit card account, it should clear up in the checking account?
Correct, yep.
Okay, thank you.
They should disappear. Yep, they balance each other out. Of course.
Reconcile for the month, and you have a negative balance that shows up there, you know, with the little orange exclamation point. Remind us, what do you have to do at that point to get it back to zero?
Sure. So if your reconciliation is not balanced, that means that something either on your QuickBooks account or your bank account is inaccurate. A tool you can use to find it pretty quickly, actually, is if you go back to your chart of accounts, you can actually click into all of these. So if I wanted to go to my checking isn't balanced, I can go to view register. And this is kind of the same thing you're seeing in your reconciliation. But I like to look over here too, right? A lot of these things don't have check marks or these green boxes, which means it came through your bank feed. So you would go line by line, unfortunately, to see what doesn't belong here or what is missing. So that's why I recommend doing it month to month rather than, like, technically you all could do it for your September month right now. And if everything is perfect, it would say finish now and you would be all set. But if there is a discrepancy, then you're going all the way from January throughout the entire year. Does that make sense? Maybe that was a little bit more confusing. I mean, sometimes you could also just go to your banking tab or your reconciliation. It's in many different places, I guess is what I'm saying. Maybe stick to your reconciliation page.
And there's no way to just do 1 month at a time. You have to do the whole year.
No, you can do 1 month at a time. So if you haven't done it yet for at all this year, go ahead and pull your January statement and start there. Go from January, then February, then March, all the way down to September.
And how do
so you can see here, right? I have this large difference. Again, this is just because I made up a random number, but this is the amount. So I need to get this all of these to that amount. This is a bit confusing. I wish I could just pull up my actual personal one so that you could see it. But that's another good, some feedback for me is maybe next time we can somehow make a feed so that you could actually see this process. Sorry about that. But again, I'm not sure who said that, but I'm happy to meet with you personally to go over that so that you can have those steps.
I'll connect with Lisa and then we'll get connected.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
if
got it.
you're within the capital region, I can set you up with a meeting with Jamie to do one-on-one advising. If you're not within the capital region, again, we would have to connect you to the correct SBDC office. We can't counsel clients that are not within our region. Jamie, do you want to take one more quick question? There was one more in the chat.
Yeah, I'm saying, Shanae, I would get your chart of accounts and yourself updated before worrying about the reconciliations. Yeah, you would probably save a lot of time getting on schedule first and then doing the reconciliations after. You're welcome.
I just dropped my email in the chat. If you're in the capital region and you want to meet with Jamie one-on-one, please feel free to email me and let me know. And I can give you her Calendly link and you can schedule a time with her to meet. Otherwise, I'm happy to direct you to the right SBDC office and make sure you guys get advising on QuickBooks because I know it is a complicated topic. And even 101, I was like, some of this stuff is like, whoa, I didn't know this was a function. I could do it this way. So it's really great information. And again, I will email out the slides, the slide deck and the recording. I will get it live and give me about 24 hours to get that together. And you guys will have that in your email by tomorrow. But otherwise, if you have any other questions, just reach out and we will try to address everything. And also, like Jamie said, if there's any feedback, positive or negative, please let us know. This is our first time running this course, so it's just a learning process for us all. So any feedback that you have would be wonderful.
Quick question. Is there a charge on one-on-one or it's included on our SBDC?
There is no charge. Everything that we do is free of charge, and that is in part because of our partnership with the SBA, our nationwide network, and all of our local funding partners. So no matter what SBDC you go to, there should never be a charge for any one-on-one advising.
No, my question was specific to the QuickBooks. So if I request a one-on-one for QuickBooks, so that should be as part of the SBDC, right? So there wouldn't be a charge.
No, Jamie is one of our advisors with our office. So there is no charge to meet with her one-on-one, no.
Okay, and is it usually through Zoom, the one-on-one through Zoom or in person?
We do virtual counseling. So we use Microsoft Teams as our platform for the counseling sessions.
Okay, yeah, I would appreciate it. I'll shoot you an email. Yeah, I may definitely need one-on-one on QuickBooks. Like you said, it's pretty complicated and I've never used it before. Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Just send me an email. Let me know and we will get you all set up.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So with all of that, again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. If you need anything, just reach out and I will get everything to you guys by tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, thank you. The recordings are going to come tomorrow, right?